If it's weird words, I'm not doing it.
Julian, the moderator over here.
Oh, where do I look?
Straight to the camera. Or whoever's asking your question.
Okay, so it's a bit of everything.
Yeah, we got them all here. So it's kind of here and remote too.
Sounds good.
Julia will ask the remote question.
We unmuted? Are we unmuted?
We good?
Yeah. Morning, John.
Good morning.
We are pleased to welcome John Rahm to the 2020 U.S. Open Championship interview area. John, who won the 2015 McCormick Medal, also won the BMW Championship last month. He is making his fifth U.S. Open start with his best finish a T3 at last year's championship. John is currently ranked number 2 in the world. John, can you just start with some initial impressions about the course?
Well, I haven't played it yet. I'm playing this afternoon, but I did come and play that Monday of the week of East Lake, since we're starting on Friday. And it was playing very different to what it is now. It was kind of raining, soft, and slow. So it pretty much played like the longest golf course I've ever played. It's hitting extremely long clubs into a lot of holes. I remember hitting 5, 8 on 16, 17, and a couple other holes, 4 iron to the green. So I know it's playing different. From what I heard is fairways are firmer, they're rolling out. So it might be somewhat similar setup to the BMW, which is good for me. And just excited, you know, it's one of those golf courses that's just good. It's right in front of you. There's not real trick to it off a tee. You see what you have. Really difficult greens, and that's when the difficulty comes in, right? The length and the rough, plus those tricky greens. So there's no surprise after coming here that some of the winning scores in the past have been so high.
We're going to go right here behind me.
John, what do you think you're going to do differently for a September U.S. Open? Have you packed differently? Have you brought enough warm clothes? How do you see this being different from a June U.S. Open?
Well, we have better weather right now here than we had last year in June in Pebble. So pretty similar, just having sweaters on, and that's about it. Or the PGA in San Francisco, matter of fact. I mean, it was colder than it is right now. I know on the weekend it's supposed to cool here a little bit, so that's it. But it seems like the golf course setup is, you know, where they want it to be. I think one of the scares, at least for me, this time of year here was maybe being a little too cold and rainy and having a bit of a softer U.S. Open, but seems it's going to be right up the U.S. Open alley.
John, can you tell me what has it been like for you to sort of go back and forth with Dustin and Justin Thomas for the world #1 ranking? You know, how exciting has that been for you?
I think it's been a really cool year for golf because starting with Brooks, you've had Brooks, Rory, me, JT, and Dustin as #1s in the world. 5 changes.
Right.
And since I took over a Memorial, I mean, it's been me, Rory, JT, and Dustin Johnson changing back and forth, right? So I think we're at a point where any given week, if any of us plays good and wins, is going to get to that #1 spot. So it's a good age for golf, I would say, and it's really cool to be a part of this. I think we're all training hard and trying to get ready to be the one to separate themselves a little bit. We know it's going to be hard, but it's extra motivation to be playing more and better golf.
We're going to go to the WebEx chat from Dan Moriarty. You've won on 2 of the toughest setups since the return to golf, the Memorial and then Olympia Fields. How does that give you confidence in your mental game when dealing with the adversity here at the U.S. Open?
Well, it's going to give me confidence knowing that I can get it done. I think it's going to be a little bit different just because this golf course plays a little bit longer. But still, you just need to play solid shots. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people playing really good golf. It just becomes to mental strength, right? Who can endure the most and who can endure till the end. It's that simple. So having it done in 2 tough tests like Memorial and the BMW, I'm excited to start just because I know I can do it. Hopefully I don't need to do a comeback like I did in Chicago, but if need be, I know I can do it.
All the way on the left.
I'm wondering if before your previous trip around Winged Foot, if you had played here before, and if you had ever gotten, I know there's no tour stops, you know, maybe you know an occasional playoff stop in the area. Have you gotten a chance to sample some of the other courses that are around here?
So a couple of weeks ago was the first time I ever played. I've seen a ton of videos online of the golf course. But no, not really. I don't know what other golf courses in the area. The only times I've come here have been for the playoffs. So the only thing I've played is Glen Oaks, Ridgewood, and Live International here in New York. I don't know if any of them are close. I don't think so. And then Shinnecock and Bethpage. So it's Not really. Never came here in college. Never really had a chance to come here even before that. So I'm excited to play this one. And if it's other good ones worth playing, hopefully at some point in time I can come and play them.
And is it fun to kind of discover? I mean, this is a historical course, but for your generation, it's kind of a new thing. So is it cool to kind of discover a new thing?
A new thing? Oh, because it hasn't been an event since '06. Is that why?
Right.
We're excited to come. I mean, it happens a lot, right? It kind of happened in Oakmont when I played. It was, first event since '07. I know it's a little smaller gap, but still, yeah, it's exciting. I mean, this is history of the U.S. Open, history of golf in general. So I love coming to events like this one and, hopefully becoming a champion in a traditional, difficult, and historically tough U.S. Open. It would be, you can call the last two U.S. Opens pretty much Massacre at Winged Foot 1 and 2, and hopefully this one's number 3.
Right here to Bill.
John, have you seen greens like these before? And if not, what makes them different?
I have. The best way I could describe this golf course, especially the greens, was somewhat like Oakmont greens, but they were fair. Right. I mean, some of those greens at Oakmont are just craziness, right? I mean, the first two greens especially is just, sometimes you can hit a great shot and end up putting it off the green. It can happen here too, but if you hit the proper shot, you will have some looks at birdie. You just really need to hit really good shots and really be under control. Besides that, I don't think I've ever seen greens like this. Honestly, this are the two courses I can find that are similar to each other.
I mean, Colin was in here earlier, and he said that you could be pinned high and not really have a shot at making that putt.
It happens in a lot of major championships. Yeah, you just got to figure out. That's U.S. Open golf usually. That's major championship golf. It happens often. So, yeah. I mean, the one thing I can tell you, do not want to be long for the most part. If you're over any of those greens, you're going to be struggling for par. So, if anything, be short. And whatever the pin is, sometimes you might need to be more conservative other times. It's tough maybe sometimes to be as precise when you're hitting 5 irons into certain holes, right? So we'll see. Again, I like the history of the game. This is a reason why Billy Casper laid up on the 3rd hole every single day, right? So it's, that tells you.
Right here behind me.
John, there's a lot of discussion about how you really have to hit the fairways out here, but it's also a pretty long course, and you can't really dial back that much. Based on just the one scouting trip that you took here, what is the plan off the tee? Do you have a 3-wood that you hit almost as far as your driver, like a Henrik Stenson, or what is your plan?
I don't. No, luckily I'm usually a pretty good driver of the golf ball, so it should fit. I spoke to Dustin briefly yesterday afternoon, and he was telling me how fairways were running out. So he was telling me in some of the shots he was hitting, the difference between a ball landing on the rough and one that was going on the fairway was up to 30, 40 yards. So clearly hitting the fairway is going to be an advantage. Now, what you choose to hit it with is up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. There are some holes out there that might fit, more right to left shape than left to right, which is what I like to play. I like to play a fade. So if I need to hit a 3-wood and maybe take a longer club in from the fairway, I'll take it. But again, I can say this now, and then Olympia Fields on the weekend, I hit driver pretty much on every hole. So it all depends how I'm swinging, if I'm feeling confident or not, and which hole we're playing, right? It all depends. There's some holes where, like the 8th hole or 16 or 5, where, when you have 500-yard par 4s, you got to hit driver. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Go ahead, Rex.
John, how would you compare the degree of difficulty at this golf course versus Olympia Fields or Muirfield Village, which were statistically the 2 hardest golf courses until we got here this week? Is it right there, 1, 2, 3 in your mind this season?
Well, I would say Olympia was harder than Muirfield, and scores reflected, right? I would say Muirfield was made tricky because how firm the greens were and how gusty the wind got. Those fairways are a lot wider than we played last week, a couple weeks ago, sorry, and even those BMW fairways are going to be wider than what we're playing this week. So I would say Muirfield wasn't as demanding of the tee, and I barely hit any drivers. I mean, I was hitting 5-woods and 3-woods and irons of the tee more than anything, still having short irons in, right? I think because of the firmness and the wind, he was playing extremely short. So I would say Olympia was playing more difficult than Muirfield. So if anything, I would say this week we probably played more difficult than Olympia Field. So that would be my 1, 2, and 3. Again, I still haven't played the course in U.S. Open setup, so I'll see. But based on what I've heard, this might be a little, this should be the hardest one.
And kind of an unrelated question. Would you mind if I asked you who you voted for Player of the Year and why?
No, I don't mind asking, but I won't give you an answer.
A request for you to answer in Spanish, just a bit about your first impressions of Winged Foot and your approach this week.
Para los que no entendáis, no he jugado al campo, así que no sé qué decir. Es así de simple. Vine hace una semana y media antes de Atlanta, jugué al campo, lo vi, campazo, muy bonito, muy difícil, pero las condiciones son diferentes a lo que estaban en ese día, ¿no? Está mucho más duro y mucho más rápido, así que no sé cómo voy a jugarlo. Voy a jugar hoy 9, mañana 9 y ya veré qué hacer.
John, I have 2 questions. First of all, how do you regard your readiness to win a major championship like a U.S. Open, and to do that, how much do you have? You're used to making a lot of birdies, driving it as far as you can. How do you have to adjust this week?
That's a specific question right there. Well, I would say in the past, maybe, this type of golf wasn't my bread and butter. But again, based on the 2 events I've won this year, I got to say I'm pretty much ready. I've been able to dial it back when I needed to, and I've been able to play properly when I needed to. So I think I've always thought U.S. Open is a type of golf course I can win in. I know my game can win in any golf course, but when you're playing good, again, it becomes a mental challenge, right? So I welcome those. Plus, I'm not gonna like to say there's something extra and special to be possibly the first Spanish player to win a U.S. Open. That would be amazing. So it's a bit of an extra motivation there to play good this week and do what I have to do. I don't know what to tell you. Besides having a strategy, it's playing good golf, right? It's sort of like in boxing, like what Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's the same thing here. We all have a plan, but if you're hitting it sideways, you got to figure it out.
And finally, you mentioned Billy Casper. It sounds like you really pay attention to history. I mean, that goes a long way back. When did you find out about him here?
Actually, Tiger told me. We were talking about Winged Foot somewhere earlier on the year, before the stop, and he said, the one thing I'll tell you about Winged Foot, Billy Casper won the U.S. Open laying up in the 3rd hole every day. And I'm like, okay, well, I heard similar stories about Ben Hogan hitting it short on purpose in the 6th hole at Oakmont. Same stories about Ben Hogan saying that if he ever hit the green on 11 at Augusta, he had pulled it. So it's just sometimes you pick your strategy, and if you pull it off, you pull it off. It's as simple as that. But once Tiger told me that, it made me aware that obviously this is a very difficult golf course. So, I'm excited to play it.
Last question here to Bill.
Would you be surprised if the winner on Sunday is under par?
Yes.
Shocked? How surprised?
Well, again, when I played it, I was hitting 5 and 4 irons into the greens, so I would have been extremely surprised. But when Dustin was telling me some of the clubs he was hitting into some holes, I was kind of surprised. But I don't know. I can't speculate on what shots and all that. I mean, knowing with the winning score last year being 14 under, or 14 under, I know they're going to make some extra effort to be over par. And knowing this golf course and the history, they have a reputation to maintain. So I think Haley will win with 6, 7 over. 7, 5 over was Ogilvy. Not that I expected to. Hopefully I'm the one to shoot on the par. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's, along those lines.
Thank you, John. Good luck this week.
Thank you.